How does consideration impact your business contracts? Imagine making a deal where both sides walk away feeling satisfied. That's what consideration helps create in business agreements. It's the key element that turns a simple promise into a legally binding contract. Without consideration, your agreement might just be a handshake with no legal backing. In business, consideration is what each party gives or promises to exchange. It could be money, services, goods, or even a promise to do or not do something. For example, if you agree to sell a product for a set price, the consideration on your side is the product, and the buyer's consideration is the payment. Both sides must give something of value for the contract to be enforceable. For consideration to be valid, it needs to meet a few rules. First, it must have legal value. That means each party must receive something they see as worth the exchange. It doesn't have to be equal in dollar amount, but both must find their consideration valuable. Second, the exchange must be bargained for. Both sides need to agree consciously on what they're giving and receiving. Lastly, the consideration must be new. It can't be something already owed or already performed before signing the contract. Having proper consideration protects your business in legal disputes. If someone doesn't hold up their end of the deal, you can go to court and ask for enforcement or damages. For instance, if you complete a service and the client refuses to pay, valid consideration means you have a solid legal claim. Without consideration, you might not be able to enforce the contract at all. Certain situations can make consideration invalid. If one party was already legally obligated to do something, that doesn't count as consideration. For example, a police officer cannot claim a reward for catching a criminal because that's part of their job. In business, if an employee performs tasks they're already contractually required to do, that can't be used as consideration for a new agreement. Gifts or promises without anything in return are not considered consideration. If you promise to give a partner something without expecting anything back, that's not enforceable as a contract. Illegal activities or contracts that break the law also lack valid consideration. For example, a deal to fix prices illegally or commit fraud is not enforceable. Consideration can take different forms. Executed consideration happens when one side has already performed their part at the time of signing. Paying in advance for goods is an example. Executory consideration involves promises to perform in the future, like agreeing to deliver services next month. Past consideration, which is something already done before the agreement, usually isn't valid. In business, contracts are the backbone of most operations. They set clear expectations and protect both parties. When you negotiate agreements, it's essential to specify exactly what each side is giving and receiving. Clear consideration terms help prevent misunderstandings and make enforcement easier if disputes happen. During negotiations, always ensure that consideration is present and well defined. Be specific about what services, goods, or payments are involved. For example, if you're licensing intellectual property, clearly state what rights are granted and what compensation is involved. If consideration isn't properly addressed, the contract might not hold up legally. Mutuality of obligation is another important idea. Both sides must have obligations and give something of value. If only one side is committed and the other isn't, the agreement might be invalid. Consideration creates this mutual obligation, making sure both parties are invested. Understanding how consideration works helps you build stronger, enforceable contracts. It's the foundation that turns promises into legal commitments. When you pay attention to consideration during negotiations, you protect your business and set the stage for smooth, clear transactions.